The lab, Wednesday morning, can't help but fiddle. Always fiddling with things. We were sorted with this. This was good enough, Glenn. You looked at it and you said it was okay. It's fine. It was happy. And then I fiddled some more. And now we've got way less run out on my flange there. That's pretty good. 0.04 of a millimeter, I'm going to call that. That's nothing. Happy. Much, much better. I see we don't have full tension on this bolt here. Something's not quite right there. So I'm going to, the next thing is to look into the interaction between this and this. Get that right, because there's something not quite 100% here. Might need a little bit more machining. It's a nice day. Suddenly it's nearly 4 o'clock. Far out. I've arranged that. Got me another one of those. I got a pair actually, as I said in yesterday's video, and so that's sorted. That's all greased up and everything. A little bit of sealant around underneath here to stop the grease weeping out, which they tend to do, especially at 7,500 RPM or whatever. So this is just bolted together so the sealant dries. Done. Taking that off. Oh, which way that? It's a heavy one. Someone's hooning through the park there. Taking that off the transfer box. I've got another one of those set up in there. There goes the rest of the day. that will take a while. Basically, I've got to make something like that, except as I said, it's going to be about 5mm taller here, so that we have more clearance between the cover and these cap screws that go in here, because that cover gets beaten to death, otherwise it hits all the cap screws. You can see I've had it off and back on in multiple different positions, and it's done that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't, as far as I'm aware, there's no marks, so it doesn't interfere with the actual operation of the joint or anything, but let's just make things a little bit nicer, eh? Let's do it a little bit better than that. Yes, it'll weigh a little bit more, but that's fine. So I've got a plan to machine these cap bolt recesses, I guess you'd call them, with the 4-jaw chuck. Very, very close to these bolts here. 4 of them actually. Very, very close, but you get away with it. I'll see where we're at once I've done it and make up my mind whether I'm happy with that. Bearing in mind it's going to be aluminium, not steel. It probably is actually stronger than this particular steel that was used here anyway. Obviously, once you're down past where it's recessed for the cap bolt to this size here, I think it's 12mm hole there, there's actually a lot of material there anyway, so the last little bit will hold quite nicely. Something to look into, think about before I just chuck it in there and say she's good, and then it explodes, which is bad. Spoke with our mate Stuart Fox at Wire Brake and Clutch, or Mufflers and Exhaust, or yeah, I think it's exhaust and brakes, something like that. He's organised for us a new battery which will arrive tomorrow. Obviously we're not running a pair of these, we're only running one. These are they're not the thing for the job, not really. If you've got a Honda Civic or something it'll be fine, but not with a high compression VQ35. So 22 amp hours, nah, that's not going to do it. Just looking at the whiteboard, I think he said we're doing 60 amp hours or something like that. Yeah, I think it is, based on the part number. So we will have, not quite, but 3 times the cranking capacity, or thereabouts. So that'll be good. It's a bigger battery, which means up in here, our battery box there has to all change, so there'll be a complete redesign of all this, and it may end up that the battery lives down here. Be quiet. So there's quite a lot of room for it here, although this is kind of in the way. But we'll see. We'll sort something out. Alright, I better get cracking with that, or it'll be Sunday and we'll still be doing that. good enough yet. Not good enough yet. Actually, we still have to. This is way too big anyway. We got to take 20 mils off this. That is going to make an awesome wig. OD is good. OD the front face. Back face. A face. Not a smiley face. Flat face. Yeah, get that in here. 25mm drill bit. Yum, 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 yum. Right, so we're at the next stage of my process, trying to get this done with the gear that I've got. We ran into a little bit of a problem with the first one that we made. I heard that move. Did you hear that move? I need to check how much clearance I've got there. I might need to redo that, take another bit off and tighten that up if we're going to be super fussy. Anyway, the holes didn't line up accurately enough when they were drilled through here, even though I drilled one, put a bolt and tighten it up. Drilled the other thread, put a bolt and tighten it up. Do the other ones, thread them, then try and put bolts in, all of a sudden we've got an issue. They're tight. They still go in, but they're tight. And if they're tight, they're pulling the joint one way or another in its housing, or in its boss, or flange, or whatever we're going to call this, which is not good. So, looking into how that came about and why, we used the drill press because this has got more travel than our heap of that only has very short travel, and it's not really suitable for drilling decent sized holes, despite it being a mill drill. Things are in the way here. This is not ideal. Should have prepared myself. Right, so we've got a grand total of travel of that much. If we turn our doofer on and zero it, I'm not sure if you can see that on the screen. It's there you go, you should be able to see that. 25mm, give or take, of travel. And we need to drill through that, which is a lot more than 25mm. That's 70mm or something. So doing it in 2 stages is not going to work. We're going to have accuracy issues. So, piece of tube in the chuck of the drill press. Make sure it's near enough true. It's not at the other end down there, but it's running pretty accurately, pretty straight here. Set square onto there. Oh dearie me. So I've got something to sort out here before we can use this any further. That has got a significant angle going on there. It's not bad the other way, which is the way that this thing's adjustable actually lines up pretty accurately. I'd call that good. But it's bent down. So we're going to sort that out before we can do the next stage on that beastie there. Well, jeebus, I'm surprised. You win some, you lose some. And in this case, we won very, very easily. This table has, I'll show you, a mechanism under here. You can undo this and you can turn the table around. And I thought, hey, I wonder if there's been a slight error in the manufacture of it. Normally you would have this drain at the back. It was positioned with the drain at the front. So I loosened that, spun it around 180 degrees. We're heaps better. In fact, I'd say that's acceptable. Over a 200mm, I think it's 250 actually, we've got maybe 0.5 millimeter or something there. And we're actually we're still good. The other way, it's probably looking horrible depending on how I'm holding the camera. That's acceptable. That's close enough for what we're doing. Won't be any problems with that. Yay! A win! Alright. Oh, hang on. Those silly lights. There we go. Actually, you can still see the flickering in the background from the other lights that are still going. This seems to be trucking along a little bit better than the other ones. So, I'm kind of hoping that the correction in my little procedure will see us right. Where are we? I can see down there, you guys can't. Oh, I'm not going to clean the threads on those. One always fits, right? That's easy. Two. I know those two fitted because I had them in there before. Three. So this is genuine. I haven't test fitted these. See, and here's the proof. Because the other two that I need are on here. I'm sure Abby doesn't mind we've got a plastic box on her roof. Do we have any more of those? Oh, there's one. Why is there just one? Oh, here's two. Here's two the same as what we were just using. It's exciting viewing, isn't it? Oh, it's magic. Oh, that's really good. That face that the actor, what's his name, that does Iron Man, and he does that face like he's having a really good time. A word that starts with O, but I'm not going to say the word because that's probably crossing the line for YouTube. Fix that. That's awesome. So the fix on the other one, when that went wrong, was actually to use the couple of bolts, or three I think it was, that were working okay and weren't screwing the thing off center. Drill right through with a 10mm drill bit, because that's very close tolerance fit in here. This is actually about a 10.3mm hole. And then I helicoiled them. And helicoil is stronger, with the caveat being that you need the material around where the hole is. Because if you have, for example, on this one, there's heaps of room there between the bolts that hold the CV joint and the bolts that go into the flange on the back of the gearbox. There's heaps of room, so there's no problem. We can helicoil those. It's absolutely fine. With this one here, this ends up very much like, I've lost it. Look at the mess. Again, very much like this. We don't have the edge distance here. It's not terrible, but I'm reluctant to drill that out and then put a helicoil in. There'd be just nothing left here. It'd be sketchy, to say the least. But as I said earlier on, the other side, if you run the bolts all the way right through to the back here, it's not so bad. You've got a reasonable amount of clearance there, or a bit better at least. Yeah, it's about right today, but I'll keep going. So before I went too far, clocked up the CV joint case, I guess you call it, the outer, and the forejaw. Not the easiest to then do these bolts up and attach that to there, being their cap bolts, but fire scraps. And it's running not bad. Well, it looks worse now than what it was just before. It was turning 0.07 run out. The thing I can do, if I can shift that back in that way a little bit more, so I'm happier that it's more secure than where it is there, or perhaps put a center in here. That might be, is my 25mm hole too big? Let's see. It's actually bang on, or very close to, just to support it so that we don't have a piece of aluminium flying into my face. I can clock that up, and I can turn the back side of this while it's attached to the CV joint, so that everything's as one unit, nice and good. 0.04, I'm going to call that 0.04 of a millimeter run out just there, so we're pretty blimmin' good, not bad for manual machining with not exactly the highest quality gear, and certainly no CNC work going on here today. Never settle, always strive for better. That is good. There are bigger marks on the surface than imperfections in the clocking. Oh, it's hard to do. Hang on, I've got to use my elbow. There we go. Just had to get that needle over there using my elbow. Look at that. Look at that. That's like 0.015 maybe, something like that, and it's actually, it's all clocked up. Imperfections on the surface there from something causing the needle to jump. That's mint. So if I now do this face like I said earlier, we're going to be good as gold. It's going to be awesome. It's well past go inside o'clock, but that is the turning almost complete on this. That needs one more pass. It's slightly oversized at the moment, but it's also very hot, and so when it cools it will shrink. So I'll leave that to cool down, measure it, give it a final cut. I'll put some grooves on the outside of this one just to try and help give it more surface area to get rid of heat, because these joints do get quite warm and the transfer box itself gets quite hot, so it'll transfer temp, and both of those transfer temp into here. So if we put just some simple grooves on here, get rid of some more heat, hopefully. I'm not going to go nuts with it, they're not going to be massive fins. So this is going to spigot, is the torch here? There it is. Into that, which I have checked with the DTI, and that is running, oh, it was actually better light without the torch, wasn't it? That is running exceptionally true. You can't see the dial even moving at all, so that's awesome. Hopefully we won't have any vibrations. Get all those all taken care of, and yes, there'll be, as I said, someone mentioned about dry shaft hoops, there will be some form of protection for everything that's in here. It's a bit complicated and awkward and difficult to do without just doing the traditional yucky, very heavy steel strap debauchery. Right. Okay. Oh, this thing here echoes. Tomorrow we'll go and get that balanced. When I've finished that, we'll get this balanced as an assembly with the two doofers on the end of them to get it dead right. It's time to stop. Thanks for watching. Cheers, bye.